boys and girls. My name's Mr. Kerry Krishna, and there are some unfinished business to take care of. As far as the thank yous for the West End Cultural Show go, we had a pretty busy night the other night. It was an amazing night, but there was a bunch of business we did not take care of. That business, in one of the things, involved thanking all of the people who were responsible. The main people to be thanked are the fans. Thank you so much for coming out and supporting the group. It was amazing what you guys did. We sold out the hall. So the hall holds 420 tickets, and I think the band had 40 set aside. So everything else we sold. You guys are absolutely amazing. You guys made the night. There were probably about 150 folks that I saw that I haven't seen in 20, 25 years. Thanks a lot. So I'm going to go through the thank you list now. I'm just actually on my way back. I'm sitting in just outside of Saskatoon, and I am driving back to doing the 24-hour drive back to Prince George, BC. Prince George, clear-cut capital of North America. You can choose. Or Prince George, we have more Irish people than you. I like Irish people. So here we go. Here is the beginning of the list. This list is in no particular order. I have to thank Angela Heck and Ivan Hughes of Compass Digital, who are doing the editing on all of the video stuff that's happening. Angela and Ivan were responsible for the camera that was up in the balcony. I have to thank J.K. McLean for the t-shirt design. J.K. back in the day did, I'm thinking, probably close to 25 separate designs for Acoustically Inclined t-shirts. I don't think he ever got paid for any of them, although Richard would know a little bit different. So what would happen is J.K. would come up with an idea one day. He would hand it off to Patrick Muldrew and Richard, and then what would happen is that they would whip off to Patrick's garage, and they would print the t-shirts overnight. Patrick was a pretty amazing human being. He's passed now. That was about what Richard's song was about when he was playing acoustic guitar. It was a nice callings you were playing, Richard. Anyway, that's what was going on. Patrick will always thank you, buddy. I have to thank Cammie Jones for I don't know what happens when a stranger decides they're going to do free work. So Cammie Jones, she did 18 free hours of digital graphic design on the t-shirts, and it was all free. Cammie, thank you so much, and you don't have to call me uncle for the next 2 years. Kristen Andrews of Rag Pickers. Kristen, the interesting story about this. About 2.5 weeks ago, I had to do digital fitting. So I had to watch a video showing how to measure myself for the tuxedo. It's plural, tuxedos. So Kristen got me to do all this stuff. I found out that I kind of figured I was around a 42 waist. I was a 42 waist. This morning, or yesterday morning, I went for breakfast with Cece Estevez of, I think that's her last name, that I used to know from the Blue Note. And as we were leaving, I said to her, you know, I think it'd probably be a pretty good idea if I got rid of these khakis and got a real pair of pants. And she said, let's go down to Sergeant Blue Jean. We went down to Sergeant Blue Jean and bought a pair of blue jeans. It's a funny thing what no sleep and wrong cold medication, never get NyQuil and DayQuil mixed up. It's not a good thing. Not eating very much and having a really bad cold will do for you. Ladies and gentlemen, size 36. Boom. Hey, baby. How cool was that? So, Kristen, thanks for all your help. Netta of Blue Note fame and Kiva of Crash Test Dummies fame. Thank you very much to the both of you. I don't know, you guys did the merch table. Thank you so much for taking care of that. Andrew, the sound tech at West End Cultural Center, you did an amazing job. I've heard some of the recordings. You are amazing, my friend. And Carrie, who is the troubleshooter there for all of us, thank you so much. Another big thank you goes out to the volunteers of the West End Cultural Center. I used to do this up on stage all the time. I never forgot. I always thank the volunteers. Terribly sorry. We were super busy the other night and probably more stressed than any of us has been in years. We were having it was an interesting night. Thank you so much for all of you guys. So thank you to I think the final count for the people who flew in was 32 people from all across the country. From Edmonton, we have Sherry Krishna, Peter and Gabriel Barber. We have to thank also Mr. John Sharples, who took care of all of Ron Thomason's guitar needs. Kelly Hughes, who rented us the Valiant Theater. Kelly, you're an amazing human being. I love you to bits. I hope that venue is up and running sometime soon. And I hope to go for coffee with you sometime, buddy. Bobby Starr, Susan Smeal, who back in 93, she was my significant other. And back in 92, she said something like, you know, Carrie, I don't think the moo-moos are working for you. She's anti-moo-moo. Anyway, so she said we should get you a set of tails and tux, and so it's been changed ever since. She also got me my tie the other night. I have to thank Wally Landreth. I have to thank Barb Best, who did 2 hours video editing on that video that came out a couple of weeks back that absolutely blew up. I've never had anything like that happen to me. Barb took a whole bunch of crap little segments and sewed them into a fantastic little piece. All of it was Barb Best of Sheena Design. If you guys need cross stitch or anything like that, you go and see Barb of Sheena Design. I have to say thanks to Mark Seaburn, who 3 separate times during the week while we were at the rehearsal hall, I phoned him and I said, Mark, we need something. And Mark dropped everything he was doing, ran over to his rehearsal hall, brought a bunch of equipment back to us. 3 separate times he pulled our butts out of the fire. Mark Seaburn, I love you to pieces. Thank you so much. Will and Jane Western, who are the father and mother of Billy Western, the pedal steel player. If you need a pedal steel player, get Billy. And Jenny Western, the art lady. Just amazing family. I stay with them every time I'm in the city. Athena and Bill at the Nook. I have to say thank you to Brian Thomason. It was nice seeing you again. I have to say a big thank you to Rhea at Bar Italia. I'm figuring, I may get in some trouble for this, but I'm figuring that Rhea probably comped the band close to $500 worth of $500 worth of free food. You made a really big difference in how we were functioning during those very, very stressful 16 hours. It was 16 hours. That was all the band had. From the time that we got there on Sunday until we hopped up on stage, it was 16 hours worth of practice to condense 25 hours of stuff in. I have to thank Claudette Bois and Darren Jansen. Claudette and Darren are my partners out in Ottawa. Claudette is the one that drew me away from Winnipeg initially and got me to move out to Montreal, and I started my job at University of McGill working for her professor. Claudette, you changed my entire life. I don't know what would happen, where I would be if it wasn't for you. I certainly wouldn't be enjoying this absolute life of Riley that I got. Darren, I thank you so much for flying out. Everything was absolutely amazing. Now we go on to the band. I'm almost finished. You wouldn't think that I would be, but I'm almost finished. Ladies and gentlemen, the Ron Thomason, who took I think about 10 days off of his busy full-time school schedule to come out and play with us. Ron, you did an amazing job. It was like falling back in time doing all of the playing with you. Ron and I have hung out quite a few times over the years, but mostly digital. Ron, you're an amazing human being. Thank you very much for doing that. So he's the guitar player guy. Dave Maracas, the bass player guy. Dave, you were, I don't know how we would have done this gig without you. Thank you so much. He was doing 8 hours a day of telework, and then coming to rehearsals and doing 4 hours. He did an amazing job, and I love your bass playing, buddy. So he's the bass playing guy. Richard Moody. Richard, if you saw something on stage that was tasteful and that you liked, it was going to be almost directly attributable to Richard. Richard took over the musical direction, so he said a couple of things interesting, very interesting. He said, we're 25 years older. He said, we play more subtly now. He said, we don't have to overplay. We don't have anything to prove. We're here to have fun. He also said, if you are wondering what to do up on stage, he said, look to your bandmates for the cues. And he said, and your bandmates will show you what you should be doing. Play subtly. And he said, and we'll have a good show. It worked out perfectly. Richard, you did an amazing job. I'm not quite sure you pulled a rabbit out of the hat. We had some skills before, but boy, you sure congealed everything. So so he's the fiddle playing guy. Barry Marachnik, the drummer. I'm not going to say the drummer guy. He's a guy. Good enough. Barry, after our talk the other night at the bar after the practice, I have to tell you that you are my favorite new acoustically inclined band member. The rest of them, I could take or leave it. Except for Mira, I kind of like Mira. And the very last, here we go again. Here's Julie Gravette. Julie's show wouldn't have happened without you. You were absolutely amazing, and it was amazing being out on the road with you. I got tons of stories. Thank you so much. Second last on this particular part of the list is Paul James. Paul, your bass playing was great during those 2 songs. It was tons of fun being up on stage with you again. Paul James and Addison Sandy are partners in Just TV. They were the ones that were on the floor with the two $80,000 digital cameras that were just wandering around in front of us and doing all of the filming. All of their video is there's something particular going on with that. One of the last people to thank is Andre Kramer, who was a student that Paul James brought over for the band rehearsal, the night of the band rehearsal. Andre, I have to tell you something. I think that you are a consummate professional. You handled the other night amazingly well. I was incredibly proud of the work that you did. I've seen some of the footage that you did. The footage was absolutely immaculate. You should continue on in what you're doing. Not be discouraged by any obstacles that get in the way. You, my friend, are the future, and I would love to have coffee with you the next time I come to the city. What an amazing young man. I think this is most of the stuff that's off the list. One of the last things that's on the list to thank is there's an acoustically inclined superfan. There seems to be a whole bunch of them, but there's none that come close to Tamia Bird. Tamia, we slept on her floor in Vancouver, I think 8 or 9 separate tours. She is by far the hardest core acoustically inclined head that's out there. Tamia, your positive attitude when you came in on Wednesday changed this entire week for me. You were the best thing that happened all week. I just can't believe what a positive attitude you brought, and talking to each one of the band members individually over the next couple of days, you were absolutely breathtakingly amazing. You're an amazing human being, and I hope to have some more hanging out with you in the future. So I'm going over all of this list. I think everything is, we also have to thank, I remembered last night while I was driving, we also have to thank the Fort Garry Hotel for the rooms. You guys really stood up to the plate. Oh, yeah. So, let's talk about Mira. I'll put my glasses down because I look cooler, of course. Say it with me. Say the word Mira. 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 Ladies and gentlemen, this gig wouldn't have happened without her. She, with Richard and me, agreed about 9-10 months ago that she would do the vast majority of work for the show. And what ended up happening, I don't think she knew what she was in for, but there were probably close to 300 hours worth of footwork and jogging and political maneuvering and funnily enough, there was no singing involved for her during all that time. She wasn't singing and getting things given to her. Anyway, Mira, this gig would not have happened without you. There isn't a single fan of the band that came to the show that doesn't owe you a debt of gratitude. That's what I figure anyway. I sure owe you a debt of gratitude. It was nice bringing all of this back to life again, digging it out of the ground after 25 years. A big chunk of this gig is Mira Black. If Mira Black is in the city and she's playing sometime in the next couple of years, you should be supporting her. She needs all of the support she can get. She's an absolutely amazing human being / diva. We love her to pieces. And now I think I've got a song for you. I haven't practiced since yesterday. And just so you guys know, this railway crossing that I'm sitting at, I'm going to move the camera a little bit. This railway crossing that I'm sitting at is, this is the 11th railway crossing that I have stopped at to do filming, and I was having all kinds of problems, and I think there are 32 takes, so this is 33. I kept on forgetting certain things, and I had everything written down. Oh, there is one more thing. I'm going to sing a song in just a second. Ladies and gentlemen, I have to say a giant thank you to Mark Paxton McRae. I lost contact with one of my best friends about 5 months ago. I couldn't quite figure out what was going on. My friend's name was Cole Wilson. I grew up with him. Cole, he was an archaeologist and quite a well-known one. Cole was responsible for on a couple of historic maps between the United States and Canada. Cole was responsible for getting the borders rewritten after a number of discoveries that he made. He was an amazing human being as a kid. I was never treated my entire life with as much respect and love as I was by this guy. He was absolutely amazing, Cole Wilson. And he was so unassuming that Mark Paxton McRae, I knew that Mark was president, he used to be president of the Manitoba Archaeological Society. I knew Mark would know where Cole was. And I saw him sometime during the week, and I asked him, and he told me that Cole had passed away. It was very, very shocking. Cole had the same phone number since we were 11 years old. He didn't have a cell phone. So unassuming. This man was so unassuming, he didn't even want to have an obituary in the paper. You can't even, there's nothing available. So 5 months, I didn't know what was going on. I couldn't find him. Every time I phoned his phone, the phone would ring and ring and ring. And then one day, I guess about a month ago, I phoned the number and the telephone was disconnected. And I knew something was seriously wrong. Mark Paxton McRae, thank you so much for giving me the information about my old best friend Cole. And I'd like to dedicate this entire show, everything I've done this last week. This has been the busiest week that I've ever had in my life. I've never had anything that even begins to approach this. Incredibly busy, incredibly stressful. This was incredibly hard week. And all of this, Cole Wilson was a great, big Acoustically Inclined fan. It was all he wanted to talk about whenever I saw him. I love that guy. He never came to a single show because it was all after the band it was all, he found out about it all afterwards, and he did all kinds of research. Anyway, this whole show for me was done for Mr. Cole Wilson. Okay. Thanks a lot, Cole. There you go. So here's the song. There's the song. This really hurts, by the way. I'm so glad we had this time together, just to have a laugh and sing a song. Seems we just get started, and before you know it, comes the time we have to say so long. Thanks a lot, everybody. And by the way, you've had just about enough of me.